issue about the galamsey is a national issue. And that's what informed the president in 2017, early in his leadership, to forcefully come out to fight the menace of galamsey. Of course, in such an enterprise, so much resources have been pumped into it, but I dare say that the issue of dealing with the galamsey should not be seen as a cost matter. It should rather be seen as when you decide not to do anything, what happens? Before this fight started during President Akufo-Addo's time, previous governments had made attempts, but to no avail, and mining has been with us for quite a long time. And we cannot say as a country that we also not allow people to mine. But of course, we need to manage the negative externalities that are associated with the mining. And so we've had problems with our water bodies, and today we have seen the threat coming from the Ghana Water Company Limited, that if we are not able to protect our forest and the water bodies, a time is coming where we'll find it difficult to get water to drink. And Mr. Kofi Annan of blessed memory had earlier said that the next world war could be fought on water shortages and not on any other thing. So the problems are dire. But we needed pragmatic and bold decisions to be made in this fight. And I think President Akufo-Addo rightly hit the nail on the head. And I must commend civil society, the media, and the entirety of the Ghanaian people for the support and the commitment they showed towards that gesture by the president. So the president was quite clear, and it's still quite clear in his mind, that we need to fight this menace of galamsey. Of course, during the fight of galamsey, a lot of policy measures were taken, including the activities of the Interministerial Mining Committee. And we wouldn't say that it has been a total failure, because along the line we saw pictures and videos of water bodies that more or less were turning to be clearer. And all those went to complement the fact that, or to enforce the fact that the fight is gaining or yielding some good results. The fight also has been able to reduce the rate of people dying in galamsey pits. Today you don't hear of such news. It means that there was an effort, and the effort kind of had some effect on the people and society by and large. Recently, we have been confronted with the issue of excavators and whether or not the excavators are missing, they are lost, or they are stolen. You see, when you are dealing with the issue of missing or lost or stolen excavators, for want of a better word, we ought to be very careful, and appreciate the kind of discourses we've been having in this country, except for a few political issues that have been brought on board. It is not so easy to say that an excavator has been lost. Excavator is not a pen. It's not like a pen. It is a machine of, substantial size. And the movement of it, thereof, cannot just be something that can be done clandestinely without anybody noticing. What I've been told, and I stand to be corrected in all of this, is that at a certain point in the work of the Interministerial Committee, they realized that excavators that were seized or, say, impounded were finding their way back to the owners of those excavators, because we also have issue with limiting capacity in terms of resources and the movement of the excavators when you seize them. So task force will go to their site, seize the excavators. Sometimes they don't even have the low-bed machines to carry or convey the excavators to the point where they want them to go. The best they could do was to dismantle some part of the machine, thinking that with that, nobody will be able to move the machine. They leave the forest, and the owners of the machines go back, find a way to get whatever machine that was taken from the whole excavator, and then drive the excavator back. And so you can't find them. And
that may be one side of it.
That may be one side of it.
But from those that we pay to do this job for this country, they have told us excavators have gone missing.
That is it.
And how they went missing. Those who were charged to transport the excavators from the sites to where they were supposed to keep them in custody, they got missing during in transit. So we have heard those stories as well.
So all said and done, we have been confronted with the issue of missing excavators. There's an issue of how many excavators that have been missing. I've heard people say 500. I don't know where that figure is coming from.
Says it's less.
Yeah, and so the 500 is thrown out there. But I can say that the number of excavators missing, we haven't had any official communication that says that indeed 500 excavators have been missing. And so that statement or that assertion cannot be taken hook, line, and sinker. That we have 500 excavators missing. It is only when investigations have been conducted and we are certified that we can say that. Then
why can't they tell us simply that this is the number of excavators we have at the place of custody? By August of 2018, they have seized as many as 600 of them. So they should be able to tell us clearly that this is the number we have here, and this is the other number we may have given back because we seized them wrongly, or a court has ordered that we should return them. But in the absence of that, once the concerned small-scale miners give us the facts, who were part of the processes in seizing them, we ought to go ahead with what they say.
Samson, I wouldn't want to debate so much on that. I think it's a duty and a responsibility that somebody must exercise, and I think the right path is being taken.
You For me, some of the owners complain that some people have gotten theirs back after paying some bribes of sort to people who were to man the places or the garages where they were kept. And those people have been linked to the Ekowusi guy. And Professor Frimpong Boateng has written a letter to the police asking them to arrest a journalist, a Peace FM journalist, for allowing his bank accounts, to be used to receive those payments.
Much as I wouldn't want to disbelieve such practical accounts coming from people who feel affected by this whole thing.
You want to disbelieve the account from Professor Frimpong Boateng?
I will only say that we must, approach this with some bit of caution.
No, you put him in charge, and he's doing the job, and he is telling the police that these people have done this, and he wants the police to arrest them, and you have some doubts about.
And I'm not having doubts. Okay. I mean, that shows the commitment of government in fighting whatever, call it corruption within this whole enterprise.
All right.
Because this investigation by the CID or the police was commissioned, or let's say it was at the instigation by a minister of the state, who was appointed by the president. What does it tell you? All that it tells you is that President Akufo-Addo is prepared to fight galamsey. In fighting galamsey, if any of his appointees or assigns is identified or seen to be engaged in an act that contravenes the law, the president will deal with that person heads on. That's exactly what the minister has done. It is government that has gotten the police and the CID to investigate this matter. And government may have some prima facie evidence upon which he decided to present the case to the police. But until the police or the CID is conclusive with the investigation and establishes that indeed XYZ is culpable for this offense, all of us can only speak based on our own conjectures, our own intuitive analysis of what has happened. And like you lawyers say, we always have to be careful not to, pass judgment on people until the right thing is done. And so I would say, beyond the talks and everything, government, the president has shown the commitment that indeed I'm not relenting in this fight against galamsey. I'm still pursuing the fight against galamsey. But if anybody has any evidence that will support the investigation by the police and the CID, let us all help. Because look, if somebody is in government or an assigned of government gets himself involved in any of these acts, one, it does not just go to discredit the government, but it is also an act that must not be tolerated in society. And if you look at the efforts that were put into this whole galamsey fight, we must also not lose sight of the successes that are coming out. Because hitherto, we had problems with licensing of people who were interested to go into mining. We had problems with state institutions and agencies that were not capacitated enough to deal squarely with problems associated with mining. And we had problems with the bureaucracy and the issues of licenses and related permits. Today, through the efforts of the committee that was set by the president and the human job that they have done, we've been able to set up about 80 district mining committees that have been formed across the country to ensure that Ghanaian people, indigenes of this state, who have the willingness and the commitment and the passion to go into mining are duly assessed, processed, and given the licenses and the permit to go into mining in a regulated manner. That is something that we have to avert our minds to, because we haven't finished with the fight. But anything that comes along with the fight, negative and positive, we must know how to deal with them. We have about 4,500 miners who have been trained in sustainable mining. We didn't used to have that, or even if we had that, it was not done at a scale that we are seeing today. Today, through the efforts of the community mining, we have people who are forming cooperatives in communities and giving licenses to go and mine. There are excesses of that. And the graph exterior of what is associated with this whole enterprise should not be made to overcome the positives that are coming out of it. And so I think that we are in a fight together. We shouldn't leave and put our hands in despair. We must just soldier on and make sure we succeed in this particular fight. But I want to commend government and the president that indeed they are not seeking, the president not seeking to shield anybody. And I can show you for that.
Right.
That the president
so
said he can even put his government
you commend
on the line.
Professor Boako and also the government for all the successes and the fact that even the investigations are initiated by him and the president will be aware. Is the president also not aware that it might be an abuse of his office if the allegations that have not been repudiated stand, that he is tasked with this job, then whilst he's doing that job, he's giving concessions for purposes of mining to get money to fund the party?
That part of the story cannot be taken hook, line, and sinker as was presented. Because if I listen to the audio, the video that I think you have seen, there is a conversation. And then somebody makes a suggestion to the good professor that we need to design a framework to get people who are in government or who belong to the party in government, who are minors originally. Somebody like Wontumi. Wontumi, more or less, was having the largest concession as a Ghanaian in the country during the era of Mr. Mahama. He was mining. So it is not today that Wontumi started mining. And so if Wontumi has a genuine license and concession and somebody makes an attempt to approach him and say that, oh, this business that you are doing, you are a party chairman, try to help us support the party in one way or the other. I'm not saying that was the case. If that is the discussion, then we have to look at it from that angle and not be seen as somebody who has been given mining concession and he was not mining before and he has had that by virtue of him being in the party that is in government.
Did you also get the impression at least that excavators being the issue of discussion were the ones that were supposed now to be diverted, those seized, to be used for the purposes of the mining to make the money?
Once again, was there anything like that? Did it happen? That is the question we have to ask ourselves. Because
he said he tasked them to set up a committee.
And
he said they have set up the committee and they have started work already. He refers to money that has been brought to him.
And the professor
and says it's part of that.
And the professor denied that.
He denies the part of the money. But he says that you didn't tell me you have already set up the committee. You didn't tell me. I asked you to do a committee. You didn't tell me you already set it up.
So the professor says that you came to have this discussion with me. We agreed on the broader framework. But as to the implementation, I have not been apprised of what has happened there.
At a time when he's tasked to cleanse the system?
I think that all of that will be part of the police investigation. Okay. And so I think that is why I support the idea that government has decided to resort to police investigation
let's
and
hear
CID
John
investigation.
Now.